Upstairs in the library, I was practicing with the Dewey Decimal System to classify new books and periodicals as they came into the library. But my days were bookended by the disconcerting presence of that playground figure. Why was she there? There was something about her, haunting and haunted, that seemed to beg the heart. Defying gravity in the presence of clocks, it was as if she was outside the normal influences of life, and the colours that surrounded her were blues and greys, sombre colours of violet and silver. This child had a sense of death around her. When a copy of the exhibition catalogue, Schoolgirls and Angels, turned up in the library for me to classify, I couldn't help flicking through it. On page 38, Blackman explained the inspiration for his schoolgirl. He said, "A schoolgirl was once murdered in the lane near the old Eastern Market, and it left a deep impression on me. The jagged, savage image that childhood is alone, coloured in a uniform, had a direct and anguished effect on me. All my life, I'd lived in Melbourne and I hadn't heard about this crime. What was it about the child's tragic death that so affected Blackman?" When I sought out a book to read on the case, I found that there were only two old pamphlets at the State Library, both published in 1922, one by Ross's barrister, Tom Brennan, the other by a fortune-teller, Madame Gurkha. Taken together, they raised more questions than they answered. Reading newspapers and official records of the period, my questions deepened. These sources suggested some seriously conflicting views about the dead schoolgirl's character. Things were said that were not consistent with what I knew about children of Alma Turchke's age. And this was purely on the basis of my 10-year background as a teacher. My wife, Linda, also a primary school teacher, shared my disquiet. The prosecution had argued that Ross had confessed that Alma drank wine in his saloon and that she was complicit in her own sexual assault, flirting with him on the afternoon she disappeared. Ross denied making any confession and denied any association with the girl, and it was in order to prove him wrong that the Crown called in chemist Charles Price to say that the 22 blanket hairs matched Alma's hair. With my wife Linda's agreement, I resigned from my position as a librarian in 1995 to investigate what seemed to us both to be a serious miscarriage of justice. We could see that the prosecution's case against Ross succeeded the jury and, by extension, the Australian public to believe that a 12-year-old had in some way contributed to her own rape and murder. Researching at the Public Record Office, I found that many old files were closed to public access under the Public Records Act, some until 2033. Eventually, however, I was granted access to all the files under the Act's special provisions. As well, I tracked down Alma's former school friends and located old school documents, including her academic records, which showed her true character and personality. Because Alma Turchke was not the child she was depicted to be by the Crown's key witnesses, and, as the mounting evidence showed, was in fact never in Ross's wine saloon, an horrendous implication began to bear in upon us. The state of Victoria had executed an innocent man. In August 1995, while examining old police and Crown Law Office records at the Office of Public Prosecutions, I discovered the original exhibits of hair used by the prosecution to obtain its historic conviction against Ross. Normally, all exhibits are destroyed after a trial and only the documentary evidence is forwarded onto the Public Record Office. However, it appears that in this instance, because they were enclosed in an envelope, the hair exhibits were overlooked. The reason they had not been discovered previously was because that particular file was closed to public access for 75 years. Following various protracted negotiations, I arranged with the OPP, the Office of Public Prosecutions, which had responsibility for the exhibits, to permit them to be handed over for documentation and conservation purposes. I also arranged to have the hairs tested and examined. The Victorian Institute of Forensic Medicine performed a mitochondrial DNA test on the hairs. This test proved inconclusive due to a lack of sufficient retrievable DNA in the samples acquired. A thorough microscopic examination, however, gave rise to the opinion that the Crown's crucial hair evidence was flawed. The Institute advised that an opinion be obtained from a leading scientist in the field of forensic hair comparisons, Dr. James Robertson, Director of Forensic Services with the Australian Federal Police, Canberra. Following the decision of the OPP to surrender the specimens, and in order to preserve the legal integrity of the hair samples as court exhibits, Dr. Robertson conferred the status of Australian Federal Police evidence on the exhibits for their transmission to him in Canberra. The hairs were then examined by Dr. Robertson, who found that these crucial hair samples are easily distinguishable. Dr. Robertson's report, which is reproduced in full in our book with his colour illustrations, Dr. Robertson's report points out that the basic technique for microscopic examination of hairs has not changed since 1922, and that the government analyst of 1922 must have seen that the hairs were different. Colin Campbell Ross had a history of minor run-ins with the law and, a few months before Alma Turchke's murder, had frustrated police by beating charges over producing a revolver at his saloon. But at 29, he had never been charged with a sexual offence, nor had ever been questioned about one. Ross consistently denied any knowledge of the crime, offering a watertight alibi for his movements, which was exactly corroborated not just by his brothers and his girlfriend, but by neutral witnesses who had, between them, seen him at the saloon and travelling home in the train when he was supposedly raping and killing the girl and disposing of her body and clothing.